Hello out there. We're on the air. Welcome back. Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Bitcoin Journey. This show focuses on actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. And the show today is titled, This is for All the Marbles. And here comes our co-host right there. Oh, he's got a rock in his mouth. Hey, buddy. Arnie's got a sprained paw. So he's walking a little bit better today, but still not great. What are we going to put for a goal name today? I don't know. Just support the channel, grow the network. Grow the network. 88,000 sats. I think we can hit it today. All right, how we doing, everybody? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fine. Killer with the first chat of the day by 5 minutes, not even close. There is no second best to Killer 76 in the first comment of the day. Ginger, good morning, my friend. We are in the Zap streams as well. If you feel like ditching the YouTubes and hopping onto the Freedom Tech, you can watch on sats.gg today. Let me just throw that in the chat just in case anybody wants to skedaddle away from... actually, YouTube's been pretty good. I'm not going to lie. But sats.gg, zap.stream, still much more functional, I would say. You can do whatever you want in there. You can do whatever you want. Oh, shit. I forgot my piece of paper that I had. You can do whatever you want. There are no rules in the Zap stream. You can share links. You can share pictures. You can zap. You can get zapped. Whatever you want. World's your oyster. YouTube, not so much. But I will say YouTube has been a lot better in terms of the censorship. So I don't know what changed, but sorry, missed you, Randy. Morning, Randy. Ian. Oh, by the way, Randy, I've seen a couple emails from you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to, I got about a month worth of stuff to catch up on here. So that goes for, if there's anybody else out there who hasn't received a message or an email back from me, I'm going to get to it. It's just, I only have so many hours in the day, and I need to prioritize, and I've been trying to do that. But anyways, Ian, good morning. Good to see you, my friend. Ian, all the way in the UK, dishing out some coffees this morning. Speaking of coffee, hey, look at this. We got our first zap of the day. Josh Owa, Joshy in the zap stream. 888 sats, a fat zap to start the show today. Speaking of Ian, speaking of coffee, we have our regulars who zap the coffee. But just in case you feel like participating, you can go there. You don't need to be on Nostr. You just need a Lightning address, and you can zap a coffee. So that's that. Let's keep her going here. Santino, one of our Bitcoin journeymen, as you can see there, the little logo. And the logo's changed longer you're a Bitcoin journeyman there. Kind of cool. Like a badge, I guess. Badge of honor. Matt, good to see you, brother. Jason's in the chat. Good morning, Jason. We got Duncan. 316. Yeah, this is episode 316. They're just flying by. I should share this with Nostr today, actually. Nostr deserves to know that we're live, right? Okay, that's good. Where are you, Nostr? So we got the wallets open today, right in front of us. So if you want to light this room up green, you can. You can do so very easily. Lots of ways to do it. Okay, we are live. Don't know if you noticed, but we got the Maple Bitcoin hoodie on today. Beautiful. Oh man, I love this hoodie. So comfy, so nice. This is bigger than I usually wear, but it's perfect for the morning. Morning show. Laugh pad. Good morning, my friend. Good to see you. And somebody just lit up the room green here. Who was it? Killer 76. Let's go. We got Bodie in the chat. Good morning, Bodie. We doing a show today? I had a minor emergency come up last week. I couldn't join Bodie, but should be around today. Josh says, when can we expect the Maple Bitcoin hoodies? No rush, of course. I think they're going to be done this week. So I'm planning to, I'm going to go into the city next week and grab them. And then I should be able to get them all sent off. So we still have a couple of these if you want one. Very reasonably priced. I think it works out to be about $100 for the hoodie and for shipping. So they're beautiful. Beautiful hoodies. Buck 52,000. Good morning. Joshua's in both chats. Rick Cost is in the chat as well. Zap that like button. Zap the likes. Zap the zaps. What was it? Don't forget to like, don't forget to love, and don't forget to zap. That's what we're, that's the new catchphrase on the show. And we got another fat zap from Craig. 2,100 sats, Arnie Insurance. Say thanks to Craig, Arn. Hey. Sorry, Craig, I tried. Had me worried. No, it's good. I'll probably get back to you today, Randy. Yeah, Cleaner Machine. Good morning. Great to see you in here this morning. Think Jack Maulers has some heat to drop in Vegas. Cheers. Yeah, you dropped some heat yesterday live on the show. Threw me for a loop, that's for sure. I didn't see that coming. But we're going to get to that just in shortly here. What was I going to do, though? GameStop. Did they buy any Bitcoin yet? I saw that they were hinting at it. GameStop. No, they haven't yet. 8 hours ago, they said, get some sleep. We'll be seeing you first thing in the morning. So to me, that suggests that we should have been seeing something by now, but maybe it's coming. Maybe it's coming. Ian says, great proof of work on yesterday's show. Where do I sign up for the Bitcoin City? It's coming. It's coming. Speaking of that, it was a really good show. I've received several messages now from yesterday's proof of work show that we did, and it's good. I like that. I like that sort of feedback. It means that we're doing the right thing, hopefully. And it was. I said that show that we did yesterday is going to change people's lives, and I really think that it will. So if you haven't got a chance yet, I also wanted to talk about that briefly because I just think it's so important at this point of the game. Where we are right now, you're watching the show, you're here in Bitcoin, you have some Bitcoin. That's great. But there's a lot of work to do here. And the one thing that I'm going to compare this to, first of all, I'll put the link in the chat here for anybody who wants to join. This is what you can do. This is what you can do. You can join. You can watch yesterday's proof of work show. It was a 2-hour show. It was awesome. You can watch it. You can cancel because you get free. You get 1 week free on the Patreon. So you could do that, but I wouldn't. I would get a membership. I would join the Signal chat. It is the best signal in Bitcoin. And I would keep showing up to the proof of work course every week, every Wednesday, and get to know people in there. And yesterday, I mentioned this on Jerry's show last night, but yesterday, somebody within the Living in the Future community, all the way across the pond, in Ireland, actually, they said that they have a weekend coming up with the family and they needed some cash. And so instead of selling the Bitcoin to the exchange, I bought it. And I feel like kind of my thoughts on that when I was thinking about it this morning, how I was going to talk about it. I was thinking like, there's been a lot of people within this community here who have purchased one of these bit axes. So these bit axes are about $200. They're great. But the reason why people get them is because they're supporting the network. They're decentralizing the Bitcoin network. Yes, there's a chance that you hit the block reward of 3.125 Bitcoin, but it's pretty much like hitting a lottery ticket. So there's been a lot of people spend, $200 on one of these bid axes to grow the network, to decentralize the network. And I think that just as importantly, if not more importantly, is something like the Living in the Future community for yourself, for Bitcoin, for the network, for things like that. So we can buy and sell Bitcoin amongst ourselves. If somebody needs cash, somebody else within the community is going to be able to buy that Bitcoin instead of having to run it back through the exchanges, dox yourself, and give that Bitcoin back to BlackRock, the BlackRock vacuum. So that's what I would say. Just like buying a BitAxe, just like decentralizing the network, I would strongly suggest everybody who watches the show on a regular basis, join the Living in the Future community. And don't wait to do it. Don't procrastinate, because the longer you're in there, the more trust you're going to have among members. And that trust, in my opinion, is going to pay massive dividends for you in the future, whether that's through network, whether that's through building something, a business or a project within the group, buying and selling Bitcoin back and forth, learning from each other within the Signal chat. It is the best signal in Bitcoin, 100%. And you can join for $5 a month. So you take that $200 that you spent on the BitAxe, think about this the exact same way, except you're going to get 3 years worth of the Living in the Future community for that. And just in case there's people out there who don't want to put their credit card information in, have a recurring payment, I get it. So I'm going to be now accepting sats instead. So if you want to join, you can pay in Bitcoin. It'll be off the books, non-KYC, and you can pay for a full year or 2 years or whatever you want to do. But you can do that. I think that's important. There won't be much of a discount, but you can pay in sats, you can prepay, and then you can be part of the Signal chat. You can see all the videos. You can watch every single proof of work course that we do. And you're going to better yourself. You're going to better the network. And this is what this whole community, this is what this show exists for going outside of the system. And Living in the Future, in my opinion, is the best way to do that. Cleaner Machine says yesterday's proof of work was great. Yes, it was. And I'm telling you, there's much more to this whole thing than just buying Bitcoin and sitting on it. There's much more to it than that. There's going to be so many opportunities in the future. There already has been some things built within the Living in the Future community from just being there, people who are in the chat. And yesterday's show, we talked about your external citadel in terms of where you want to be, who you want to be there with, what you want to be doing there. That's your external citadel. But we also we focused on the internal citadel and how important that is to manage. And basically what we talked about, and I really encourage people to go watch this video, 2 hours, take some time today. You can watch it on 1.25x, whatever you need to do. But the whole point was that people in life, most people seek power over clarity. And the point there was that people should be seeking clarity instead of power. But my thesis was that because we're in Bitcoin, because you're here now, you're going to have both economic power, influential power, and clarity. You already have the power. You already have the economic power with Bitcoin. It's done. You already got it. You just got to protect that now. But the next stage is inside. And that's what the show is about. I said it was going to change people's lives, and I really believe it will. So take some time. Think about living in the future, just like you think about getting a BitAxe to support the community, to grow your network, and to decentralize the Bitcoin network even further. So again, that's if you're watching this later or you're watching the replay version of this, I will have this link in the show notes for you, but I just threw it in the chat there. So let's do it. Let's fucking do it. That's the message within proof of work. Just fucking do it. Jose, good to see you, man. Haven't seen you for a while. Where you been? Where you been? And look at this. We got Letha Legendary. No, Letha the Icon now. Icons. Bitbilly, Letha, Into the Orange, and an unknown Zap. Still yet to claim that one. But whoever they are, they're an icon. Good morning, Letha. Thank you for the sats. Very much appreciated. Adam from Poland. Love that. Absolutely love that. Good morning, Adam. Bodie says, yes, we'll be live for the regularly scheduled show every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. See you then. And Josh says, I hopefully never sell Bitcoin, but if I had to, I'd reach out to the living in the future first and foremost. That's what we're talking about. So yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. As much conviction as you have over Bitcoin, you know, I like to say, and this has absolutely been true in my life, that if you don't have if you never have to sell your Bitcoin, that means you have too much cash. And so when I said that, somebody said, or you have a job. Well, to me, every time I get paid in anything, I convert it to Bitcoin. So it doesn't matter if you have a job or you don't. Every time I get paid, I convert it into Bitcoin. And so there are things that come up, like a family trip, like what happened yesterday, new tires on the car, new water heater, whatever comes up. If you never have to sell your Bitcoin, you have too much cash. That's my opinion on it. So when you do have to sell, when things come up in your life unexpectedly, sell it to Bitcoiners. Do not sell it back to the exchanges. It's the worst thing that you can do, because once those sats go back onto the exchange, they're never coming back to us ever, especially with the demand with the institutions right now. Debt Free React says, what are your thoughts about taxes over time when Bitcoin becomes the global currency? Would it become obsolete? Yes. Like taxes will become obsolete? Yes. And it's not, it'll happen before Bitcoin's a global currency. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of them being all countries are nationalizing and they're going to be increasing revenues, tariffs. So you might not pay income tax, but you're going to pay tax on products at least until government shrinks significantly. That's number two, which is governments are going to shrink significantly. They're way too big as they are already, but as technology improves, the need for government is going to disappear. I know they won't admit that. Nobody's ever going to tell you that, but it's just going to happen over time organically, because people are just going to stop paying attention. People are just going to stop paying taxes. It's not going to be like someone's going to come on the TV and say, taxes are officially over. Never going to happen. But governments are going to shrink, not by choice, but it's going to happen. We're moving into a very decentralized world, and government is very centralized. We're moving away from that, 100%. And the other thing too is that governments are going to start mining Bitcoin. And if you think about that, we've lived our entire lives in a system that relies on human resources, right? That's what funds the governments. That's what has allowed the governments to get so big. And the taxes that we pay, I'd say a fractional, like 1 to 2%, maybe, actually go towards the country, the citizens. Everything else is just pissed away with government workers, with payments to Ukraine, with payments to people who don't necessarily deserve it. There's a lot of people in Canada who don't deserve to be paid by the government. A lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of grants, a lot of bullshit. It's all going away. When you take away their ability to print money, everything changes. So instead of relying on human resources, we're now going to be able to rely on natural resources, just like they're doing in El Salvador right now. They have their volcano hooked up to a Bitcoin miner. That thing's printing Bitcoin, and that's what's going to fund the governments. So yes, absolutely. And it's going to be impossible, especially with the different layers being built on Bitcoin right now, with eCash being a big one. Taxes are going to disappear because they just simply won't know what's happening. It's going to be like everybody's paying in cash, but they're doing it with their phones. That's what's going to happen. And it's going to be fucking awesome. Excuse my language, but it's absolutely true. We're going back to a society of cash, but it's going to be global, and you're going to be able to pay with your phone. And the people who are just tying this back to our living in the future community here, the people who are taking advantage of these tools earlier are going to be the ones who are rewarded the most. Between Start9 servers buying and selling non-KYC, buying and selling Bitcoin with each other, breaking that chain. And the other part too is the Fedi Mint. So within the Living in the Future, we're going to have a bunch of different things. We're going to have like our own Nostr relay. We're going to have our own Fedi Mint where we can have Bitcoin on there. And you're going to be able to send Bitcoin back and forth privately within our Fedi Mints. So again, this is all coming. And if you want to wait until it happens, then you can. But if you want to join us now and earn that trust over time, that's the only way you earn trust is through proof of work and through time. Then just join now. And you're going to be part of this whole thing. And you're going to be a million miles ahead of everybody. Because Bitcoin's hard enough as it is, but you should not go through this whole thing by yourself. Living in the Future, you're going to have some pals, some Bitcoiners that you can trust, that you can rely on, that you can ask questions to. It is amazing. It is such a beautiful thing. So I never push this very hard, but I highly, highly encourage every single person here to join. You're crazy not to. Yes, exactly. Remember to use Bitcoin, spend in your place. It's exactly what I'm saying. Like the guy who sold me Bitcoin yesterday needed it this weekend. And I'm sure once he gets some cash back, he's going to buy that Bitcoin back from either me or somebody else or an exchange. Get that Bitcoin off the exchange. You have to spend it. You have to use it, but never sell it back to the exchanges. Sorry, I'm missing some green lights here, folks. Let me get to the most important chats here. Hey, look at that. I love this. Somebody just sent in is that an Israel flag? I don't know. Either way, 8 sats. Love that. Again, it doesn't have to be much. Could be 8 sats, could be 2 sats. It just provides some positive feedback loop for me here. And it's very easy to do. You might as well use it. We get 50 sats. I think that was from our friend Buck52, I'm guessing. And then 369 sats, 369. Love that. That's a good zap. I like that one. I got to make a little list of zaps here. Now, we're not going to go through them. But I'm going to get a little list together for the different kinds of zaps. Okay, so it looks like we got a couple of coffees that were zapped today. Bodhi says Bitcoin generations focused for baby boomers and new Bitcoiners getting off of zero. So thank you, Bodhi. That was a coffee. 3232. 3,232 sats. We got another DCA, dollar coffee average. 3232, exact same amount. Which is what from yesterday? 3232 versus 3317 yesterday. So Bitcoin price is up today. That is our gauge. That is our gauge. Can somebody keep an eye on GameStop for me today? Let us know in the chat when GameStop announces their buy. And then we got a couple over in the Zap stream. Look at this. Gray, 420 sats, said governments are already shrinking. Started with the fall of the Berlin Wall. That was the peak of big government fractures. Oh, no, sorry. That was the peak of big government. Fractures in the system ever since. Brexit, Trump in the US, BTC in El Salvador, etc. 100%. It's a trend that is never going backwards. Governments are going to continue to shrink. The world is going to continue to decentralize. And Bitcoin is going to be the only way that that works. Honestly, without Bitcoin, we would be totally fucked. Truly. I just want you to imagine how bad our life would be if Bitcoin didn't exist. And I think about this all the time. Well, I shouldn't say every morning, but I do my best to, just think and say, like, am I doing the right thing here? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Is Bitcoin what I think it is? And every time I think on it, it gets clearer and clearer to me that no bad actors, people have all these different theories around Bitcoin, who released it, who discovered it, who created it, all these different theories. But I can't think of one single reason why a centralized entity like a government or like the World Economic Forum or like a country, anything, no centralized entities benefit from Bitcoin. They just don't. They would have benefited significantly from like a CBDC, but Bitcoin is totally different than that. So yes, thank you, Gray. 100% agree. And Duncan also zapped 420 sats. Thank you, Duncan. Very much appreciate that, everybody. Because as we know, that is that's how we support the show. I don't have any sponsors on here. I never plan to have any sponsors. I've had many sponsors reach out to me, send me products. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be owned by anybody. Even if it is just like a small, in the back of my mind, I don't want any sort of outside influence here. So between the Living in the Future, between the Zap Stream, Arnie's Wallet, that's what funds this. That's what keeps this train rolling. So thank you to everybody who has been supporting. Tommy D. Morning, brother. Terry says, I remembered to like. I'm subscribed. I have a BitAxe, but having some technical difficulty with setting it up. Never use Signal. Well, Terry, if you can figure out Bitcoin, you can figure out Signal. Literally all you do is you download an app, you create a profile. And the nice thing about Signal is that you don't have to share your phone number with anybody. You have to put it in there initially just so it prevents, multiple users and bots and stuff like that, prevents spam. But once you have it set up, you can join group chats like our Living in the Future group chat, and you don't have to share your phone number with anybody. It's just by your username. So that's what makes it so private. And it's also all the messages are encrypted. And after 7 days, all the messages from the chat disappear. Thanks to Craig for that. So if you can figure out Bitcoin, you can figure out Signal. And again, every single person who's watching the show today, tomorrow, anytime should be in Living in the Future. This is much bigger than just Bitcoin. Bitcoinus Maximus, is there a specific BitAxe you recommend? No, I forget what they're called, honestly. But that was kind of the point that I made, right? Was that I got these BitAxes for the Bitcoin network. I knew that there was a very, very, very slim chance that I would ever hit a block, but I pay for it. I pay like $5 or $6 a month in, maybe more than that, maybe $10 a month in utility fees with no guarantee or no expectation of a return on that. So that's what I said. So that's what I said earlier is like, people do that. I did that. So think about living in the future. Think about joining this community, very similar to buying a BitAxe. You're supporting the network. You're helping grow the network. You're decentralizing the network. And there's going to be a ton of opportunities for anybody who wants them in that community. We're just getting started. We're just so early in this whole thing. And the longer you are in these communities, the longer you are in living in the future, the better you're going to be. Perfect example. Bitcoin Citadel, our new Bitcoin advisory company. It's all members from Living in the Future, all members who have been in there from the very early days in Living in the Future. Daniel, Craig, Noah, Alex, Mike, myself. It's people who are in there. And the longer you're in there, the more people are going to trust you, the more opportunities that you're going to have. And that's aside from just like the knowledge that you're going to gain just by, even if you don't ask questions or talk or anything, just be a fly on the wall in there. You're going to get so much information for Bitcoin. It's the best signal in Bitcoin. Bitcoinus Maximus. I just shared the link to my BitAxe there. If you want, if you're already a member of Living in the Future and you want to get a BitAxe too, you can do that. Look at this, Paulo. I've learned so much in the Living in the Future community, worth every penny. Thank you. And I'm glad. It's what it's all about. It's what it's all about. Hey, Joe. Joe, good morning. Watching you here on my phone and the other video you sent in the TV. Yeah. Joe's watching the proof of work show from yesterday. He said he liked it. BTC, be the change. Exactly. No one's going to do this for you. No one's going to join living in the future for you. It's up to you. I see Jor everywhere I look. That's good. Bodhi says, living in the future has improved my life. I try to bring value to my fellow Bitcoiners in there, even those that aren't living the future. We are Bitcoin and helping each other build. Yeah, the quality of people in living in the future is truly off the charts. You won't find it anywhere else. I'd say the second best would be Orange Pill app, and in my opinion, it doesn't even compare. And Orange Pill app is like 3 times the cost too. It's just nobody knows about the living in the future yet. BTC backpacker mowing lawns for sats, my man. High trust society returning, exactly. And you never know where this is going to lead. This is what I talked about on the proof of work yesterday. I said that we're not used to living like kings. We're not. If you're watching the show right now, if you're anything like me, I never came from wealth or a lot of money at all. I never had those problems that rich people have. But as Bitcoin increases in value, as time goes on here, your life is going to change significantly. Your balance in your net worth isn't just going to go up. There's going to be a whole slew of things that come with that. Security, inheritance, protection. Your location is going to be very important. A lot of Bitcoiners are not ready to be rich. They're just simply not. And there's going to come a day, and you're going to have to decide this for yourself. Are you going to want to be the richest person in the town that you live in today? Because it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And then when that time comes, are you going to want to be the rich person in town? Everybody knows the rich person in town, at least if you're like me from a small town. And they're treated much differently than everybody else. Some good things, some bad things. But nobody's ever themselves when they're around the rich person in town. And I don't know if that's what I want personally. So these are the things that you have to be thinking through. And when that time comes, when you have a community of people, when you have people that you can trust I really see a future where a lot of us are actually living in a very close proximity. I do. I really believe that. Don't know where that is, but I talked about that yesterday. And then you have things like Fedimints that get thrown into the mix here, where you have a community, whether it is physical or it is like a virtual community, but you have people in there that you can trust, the people who run the mint. And you have Bitcoin in that mint, and everybody who is part of that mint can transact privately and basically, hate to say this on YouTube, but basically wash your Bitcoin. And these are the kind of things that come with being in a community like that. High trust society returning, because Bitcoin has no middleman. So when there's no middleman, you have to build that reputation and that trust for yourself. And the only way to do that, you can't buy that. The only way to do that is with time and proof of work. Buck 52 is here for it. Absolutely. Joe says, backpacker, how does that equal out? I know different sizes, but on average is 1 yard like 100,000 sats. Whoa, that'd be big if it was. When I used to cut grass, when we used to have a lawn care business, we would get like $30. $30, which is, what currency am I in here? Canadian. $30. Oh shit, hold on. Okay, so in $30 in the US would be about 30,000 sats. So in Canada, that would be about 23,000 sats. The crazy thing about this is why people need to be acting. And I know that this is just kind of a conversation within the chat here, but think about it this way. BTC backpacker spending his time mowing lawns, right? And let's say that today, just for an example, I think it's probably less than this, unless, I was doing something wrong. I mean, I was like 18 years old, but still. So let's say that 100,000 sats for 1 yard. In 10 years, what do you think it's going to cost somebody to get their lawn cut? Think it's going to be 100,000 sats? I think it's probably going to be 10,000 sats. So that's good for Bitcoiners who are here today. Your purchasing power is going to go up forever. But for people who are working, 100,000 sats today for that exact same lawn in a decade from now, you're going to get paid 10,000 sats for that, probably, maybe less. So that's why you have to consider how much is going to change here. Your time, your energy, your value is going to continue to go down in Bitcoin terms. That's why you should be doing everything that you possibly can to be earning Bitcoin right now. Because you're never going to earn more Bitcoin than you do today. You're never going to be paid more than you are today in real currency. Even if your salary went up from 60,000 to 80,000 to 120,000 in dollars, in real terms, in Bitcoin terms, your salary is going to go down forever. And then you throw into the mix there that in a decade from now, robots are probably going to be cutting lawns. So if you want any sort of influence, any sort of power, any sort of wealth in the future, now is the time to be accumulating it today. And not only that, but you want to find opportunities. You want to find ways that you can earn Bitcoin. And yesterday, in the 365 days of Bitcoin, I did a 10-minute video on a challenge. I said, make an ebook. I showed how to do it, the first steps of it. I said, you make this ebook, you take a couple hours of your time with knowledge that you already have. You can use tools, you can use AI, you can generate this ebook very quickly now, and you can sell that for 20 bucks. And if you sell 5 copies of it, 100 bucks. But what if you sell 50? What if you sell 500 copies of that ebook? Do you know how many people are on this planet? 8 billion. You think that there's not 1,000, 10,000 people out there who could benefit from whatever knowledge you have up here? You just have to do it. And everybody's like, well, how am I ever going to get to 1 Bitcoin? Well, come out with a really good ebook, sell a bunch of them, and convert that into Bitcoin. What if you sell 50,000 of them? What's the math on that? 50,000. Let's go 5,000 just to keep it very, I wouldn't say realistic, because 5,000 out of 8 billion people, everybody thinks too small, including myself a lot of days. 5,000 times $21, $105,000. That's 1.3 and 1.2 Bitcoin. Nah, 1.1. But that's the kind of stuff you got to be thinking about. And not a lot of people are. And that's, I mean, that's why you show up here for the free content. But you have to put in the work. You have to put in the time. Nobody's going to do this for you. And your time and your energy is only going to go down in real terms forever. Hold on. I got to catch up on some zaps here. I don't want to leave people out. Zaps are what makes the world go round here for the show. So somebody sent in 210 sats saying, thank you for the show. Thank you for the sats. I appreciate that a lot. And then somebody sent in anonymously 2,500 sats to our guy Arnie's wallet here. And somebody said citadels are coming. I feel like that's Daniel. Yes. Yes, I was right. Citadels are coming. 888 sats. And Bodhi zapped 888 too. That one's not showing up here. That's strange. Showed up in the zap stream, but it didn't show up in the wallet, Bodhi. Anyways, we'll get that sorted out. Bitcoinus Maximus. Have you ever seen the rain? No. How does it go? Yeah. I want to know. Have you ever seen the new Nerdax for Solo Miner. I haven't. I have not. Okay, we got a lot of comments here. 40 minutes into this thing. Haven't touched on a single topic yet. I mean, every comment, everything that we talk about is a topic. That's why I love the show. Because I have a couple things every day that I want to talk about. Some days I get to them, some days I don't. But we never run out of things to talk about here. Mark, question. I use Bitcoin well, nice, to pay my taxes the same as selling to an exchange. Yes. Yep. But, I mean, everything in moderation, right? Everything in moderation. So yes, ideally, you would find somebody within Living the Future to buy the Bitcoin from you, send you cash, pay your taxes. But sometimes it's hard. The hard path is always the one you want to take. But yes, that would be selling it to an exchange. Jersey. What's up, Jersey? Joe's from Philly. Our guy, Joe, in the what's it called? The city of brotherly love. Is that Philly? We get another fat zap here. 888 sats from our guy, Plunger. And into the orange. Look at that. I'm late, but I'm here. Into the orange since you're here. I gave you a nice little shout out here for being an icon on the show. We only got 3 iconic zaps so far. This will grow. This list will grow organically, just like the channel here. But anyways, into the orange. Thank you, my friend. And thank you for the zap there, Plunger. $10 a day. That is absolute no-brainer there. Absolute no-brainer, my friend. Keep it up. 27.24 GameStop. All right, I'm in the greens. Any announcements yet from our guys, GameStop? It's shitty. I got to allocate some capital here into MicroStrategy. I don't know if I'm going to do MicroStrategy or 21 Capital yet. I think MicroStrategy. Here's what's crazy to me. I'm not going to talk too much about the 21 Capital. I think that there's already been enough coverage on that. But here's what I will say. MicroStrategy. They have over 500,000 Bitcoin. 500,000 Bitcoin. 21 Capital, which is very heavily funded by some of the richest people on the planet, including our good friend Howard Lutnick from Cantor Fitzgerald, Tether, Jack Mallers, who's been in Bitcoin longer than I've been alive almost. They put all their resources together. They formed this brand new company, 21 Capital, and they have 42,000 Bitcoin. All of that money, all of that wealth, all of that time in Bitcoin, they get 42,000 Bitcoin, which I know is a lot. I know that. But the point is MicroStrategy, nobody is ever going to catch MicroStrategy or strategy, ever. No country is going to catch strategy. It's impossible. Nobody wants to say that, but it is physically impossible for any other entity to catch strategy. And when you're building a business, when you're building a company and an organization on Bitcoin, that is the best foundation that you could ever have. And when you have the most of that, he who has the most Bitcoin is going to win this thing. And that to me is strategy. So I probably won't buy any 21 Capital, honestly. As much as I love Jack, as much as I love the team there, I don't know. I just think that it's just like, it's very consistent with Bitcoin. Is the sooner you're here, the earlier you are, the better you're going to be. And Joe, what's your catchphrase there? The longer you wait, I don't know. Let me know in the chat if you're still here, Joe. The longer you wait, I saw it on your clip yesterday. Anyways, Dickie Greenleaf says, Pythagoras invented the theorem, one rug pull. Math is a discovery, not an invention. Truth. That's why Bitcoin is not an invention, not it's a discovery. The kid who got arrested who burnt down Jersey. Who are we talking about here? Han says, why is everyone going crazy for strategy? I want to be buying what Saylor's frantically trying to acquire Bitcoin, not his stock. 100%. 100%. And don't get me wrong here. I'm not advising anybody to buy strategy or GameStop or 21 Capital. You, whoever's watching this right now, you need to be your own Michael Saylor. You need to be your own Jack Mallers. You need to be your own Ryan Cowan for your family. The reason why these companies are having so much success is because there's so much capital that's trapped that cannot buy Bitcoin yet. That's it. That's the only reason why they're so popular right now. They're giving the big pools of capital a very easy highway to buy Bitcoin. They can't buy Bitcoin, but guess who can? You. So don't mess around. If you have any money, never sell your Bitcoin to buy these shares. Any money that's outside of the system, any free cash flow that you have should 100% be allocated to Bitcoin. Not strategy, not GameStop, not Metaplanet, not 21 Capital. All of that money that's outside of the system should go into Bitcoin. That's the asset that everybody wants here. Incredibly important. Jordy, do you overclock your miners to get more hash power? No, I don't. I think I could figure out how, but I just haven't. There you go. A day you wait is a day you're late. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. All right, what else we got here? Lapad, I think GameStop was hinting at the switch to pre-orders. Oh, switch to pre-orders. Oh, that's lame. I thought it was going to be about Bitcoin. Maticated, I didn't see the show yesterday. Any thoughts on the new? Oh, we just missed it, or you just caught it, I guess. There was no show actually yesterday. We did our proof of work show like we do every Wednesday. We should create a living in the future mining pool. There's actually been a couple people who have asked about that. It's probably going to happen in the future. Living in the future is a safe space for Bitcoiners, 100%. Bangarang, good morning. Hustle hard. I'm here, $10 a day. Keep the mice away. That's a good catchphrase. I like that one. The community will need a cafe. I'm on it. Love that. Jimmy says, good luck finding a salary that outpaces Bitcoin. Yeah, you're going to have to add more value than Bitcoin to the world. And to that, I would say good luck. Salary we paid in sats in the next 6 years, maybe 8. Yeah, it really depends. I think that whatever's going to drive the people getting paid in Bitcoin. Hold on. I just got to make sure that everything's okay here. I got like 20 texts coming in from somebody somewhere. Okay, never mind. It's just about Bridge texted me, said she wants to join the Signal chat. She must be watching the show today. She's on the road. So if you're watching this, Bridge, you can join for sure. I don't know if you want to though, but if you do, seriously, you can join. Wealth is a product of a man's capacity to think. Wealth is yeah, absolutely. Because building wealth is hard. I mean, it was hard. It still is hard. It's easier now. Most people haven't figured out that it is much easier now. Literally, all you have to do in Bitcoin is absolutely nothing. Take money that you have, take some of that fake fiat, convert it into Bitcoin, and do nothing. Learn how to protect that. Invest a little bit more in the security, get a couple devices, get a multi-sig, get signed up with 21 sats, which in my opinion is better than 21 Capital. But 21 sats, we offer the super backed security and inheritance protocol. So I received several different messages yesterday, and I think I got back to everybody actually. But if you want more information on protecting your Bitcoin as best you possibly can with Superbacked, with 21 sats, with Craig and I, shoot me an email, jor@bitcoincitadel.net, and just put Superbacked in the title, and I'll get back to you today. It's the best. It is the best way to protect your Bitcoin. It's not even close. It's just that most people don't know that it exists yet. Because the biggest problem that Bitcoiners have and are going to have in the future is leaving your recovery phrase, your 12 or 24 words, on plain text, on paper, on steel. There's going to be so many problems that come from that. Truly. As Bitcoin goes up in value, there's going to be people out there literally breaking into houses for Bitcoin. I know it's scary, and I hope to God it doesn't happen, but realistically, like, there's no other way around it. And so you don't have to do it today. This isn't a huge panic today, but in the future, this is absolutely going to be a problem. And, that's why you have to be thinking about not only where you are today, but where you could go in the future. But what 21 sats does, what Superbacked allows, is that you can have zero trace of Bitcoin in your house. You can maintain full ownership of your Bitcoin without trusting anybody and having zero, no devices, no recovery phrases, nothing, no laptops, no phones that have Bitcoin on them in your house. Superbacked allows that. It's the only thing that exists that allows for that without trusting somebody else. And just like everything else, the longer you wait to get into that, the more it's going to cost you. So we have our introductory rate right now, which is way too low in my opinion, but I'm sure we'll be juicing that up soon. But anyways, if you want more information on that, email jor@bitcoincitadel.net. Ver Hoofty, Floofen. If I sold my house, I could afford a couple Bitcoin. Believe me, I've thought about it. I mean, it's not the worst idea, honestly. I wouldn't sell my house though for Bitcoin. I wouldn't. The only better investments than Bitcoin, in my opinion, are things that you can use and experiences, like trips, things that you can use, like a house, like a tractor, like a truck, like a boat, like a golf membership, like a new set of weights. So that's the things that I like. The only things that I'll sell my Bitcoin for or spend my Bitcoin on are my health and my physical health and my mental health. I've never really thought about that, but that's pretty much all I would ever sell or spend my Bitcoin on. My physical health, which is like good food, the gym we set up in the basement here, things like that. I would say a golf membership would be kind of both physical and mental, but then mental health as well, which is like a vacation or Vegas. I'm going to Vegas in a month from now. That's for my mental health. And I'm going to have to spend some Bitcoin, but that's okay. That's life. Chris says MBNA Trueline MasterCard gives your checking account 12 months, 0 interest loan. Whoa. 7,000 of risk I'll take every time. I mean, there's something there. And I know Joe's in the chat this morning. Joe's a big fan of taking on debt at 0%, buying Bitcoin. And then in a year from now, taking on a different form of debt, paying the original one off and going from there. I don't hate that strategy. If you can do it, if you can be responsible enough and you know what you're doing, I have zero issues with that. Zero issues with that. I think it's smart. Jake says, jump into living in the future. We have the power. Snap. 1990. I like how Jake has the years that all these songs came out too. Jake's like our DJ within living in the future. Rick says, you're a visionary, man. I mean, I don't know if I am. It's so clear to me. Maybe that's what makes that true, but it's so clear to me where this whole thing is going. And I just don't know what could ever stop it. That's the crazy thing. And the more time you spend in Bitcoin, the more you realize that this thing is impossible to stop. It's like a freight train, right? Think about a freight train and it's going down the tracks just with no weight to it. It's just a train going down the tracks slowly. So you could stop it. You could put something in front of it. You could stop that train. But as the further it goes and the more people that get onto that train, every green light that turns on around the world, every person who understands Bitcoin, takes their Bitcoin into self-custody, that is one person jumping onto that train. And it just keeps going slowly. It's like the time change, just slowly. But as more and more people jump on the train, that train becomes harder and harder to stop. Think about two trains. One has zero cargo on it, and one's like 10 miles long with a bunch of cargo on it. Which one do you think is easier to stop? And which one is impossible to stop? And every single day that goes by here, every single public company that adds Bitcoin to their balance sheet, every single person who has the green light in their mind come on. Because that's what happens when the companies who own Bitcoin right now, the green light's on for them. They understand what's happening here. They're buying Bitcoin. They're building a solid foundation there. Every public company, every private company, every small business, every individual, every person who gets on that train makes this thing harder and harder to stop. Hey, thanks, Joe. Share this to X. Spread the word. One share won't hurt, and you might save someone's life. Cheers to you, Joe. I love that. Zapstream, I'm sorry. I've been neglecting you here. Into the Orange said, I just took the family to Disneyland. My boy had the time of his life. Exactly. And whether or not you needed to, that is something that, you could spend some Bitcoin on, in my opinion. So that's what it's all about. Remember, Bitcoin's just a means to an end. Nobody wants a bunch of Bitcoin. People want the things, the experiences that Bitcoin's gonna allow them to get. That's all it is. Like, there's no sense hoarding your Bitcoin. I know there's all the messaging, never sell your Bitcoin. That's fair. But nobody wants Bitcoin. People want the things that Bitcoin buys them. And I think the one thing that Bitcoin does is changes your whole mindset in terms of what you actually need and what you want. So in the future, it's just leverage. That's all it is. The sats you're buying today are going to buy you so much freedom and energy and leverage in the future. Oh, look at this. We got another fat zap here on Arnie's wallet. 1,888 sats from Cambridge, UK. Ian, for the leader of the wolf pack, Arnie. Arnie's not even here. He's injured too. He's on the mend. Be careful with meetups. Yeah, I agree with that, but I don't think you need to live your life in in a paranoid state. You got to enjoy yourself. Jimmy's always coming up with the crazy, deep questions here for me. What would your book be called if you wrote one, Jor? I think, honestly, just tying everything together here, my book would be called My Bitcoin Journey. From slavery to prosperity. Not bad. Or my ebook would be called The Bitcoin Journey. Your Bitcoin Journey. 10 things every Bitcoiner must know. I should write those down. I feel like My Bitcoin Journey would be on brand. You know what I mean? My Bitcoin Journey. I might do this. What did I say? From slavery to prosperity. And then The Bitcoin Journey. Sorry, just brainstorming here on live television. The Bitcoin Journey. 10 things every Bitcoiner must know. Anybody want to pre-order these? I'm actually going to do that too. That's a crazy thing. Great question though, Jimmy. Bodhi says, thanks for the ebook video yesterday. Already have 6 ideas on topics to expand on. There we go. Bodhi's doing it. Bodhi is living the Vita Loca. He's doing it right. Floofin says, just buy Bitcoin. Everything else is a longer road disguised as a shortcut. 1,000%. 1,000%. Lapad says, fun fact, one BitAxe is 12,000 times more powerful than the entire Bitcoin network on pizza day. Wow. And imagine what it's going to be like in 15 years from now. ETF is not Bitcoin, truth. But on that note, anybody who's still here, we've been here an hour. We got more in the tank, I think. Although I do have a meeting at 10 today, so I don't have too long. Maybe I'll save this for another day. The ETF. Every dollar you put in a strategy is less sats you will own. Who wants fiat? Maulers doesn't holds US dollars. Yep, true. Duncan says, would you sell Bitcoin to the community to pay for an emergency, or would you get a Bitcoin-backed loan via Ledden? Sell to the community. And I have done that before. And I bought Bitcoin from the community too. There's been a couple people who I've sold Bitcoin to in the last year within the Living in the Future community because I needed it for something. Joe says, I sell Bitcoin all the time. My money goes into sats. If the store only accepts dirty fiat, I have to convert. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Don't cash out your Bitcoin out your cash. Joe, this is so true. And this, I think, is true for everybody listening to this. And this is true for the future of the world here. That's what people get wrong in Bitcoin. People look at the existing centralized, manipulated, controlled system that we live in, and they say, well, there's $900 trillion worth of assets in the world. So there's no way Bitcoin could actually get to $10 million if you do the math. There's no way that Bitcoin could get to $50 million if you do the math. Or whatever that is, or $1 billion. Let's say $1 billion. Because I think that one Bitcoin will absolutely be worth $1 billion one day, without a doubt. We won't know what the price of Bitcoin is at that time, but that one Bitcoin is going to be able to buy you $1 billion worth of stuff in today's terms in the future. I don't know how long. Could be decades, could be a century. But at one point, that's going to happen. And people will say, well, 21 million times 1 billion doesn't make any sense. That's way higher than the worldwide assets that we have. It's impossible. But anybody who says that is still stuck in the old system. Because the world that we're moving into has no limits. The only limit is our imagination. Because everything that we produce, all the ideas, all the products, everything that we produce is going to flow into Bitcoin. Is going to be repriced by Bitcoin. And with technology and with our imagination, there is no limit to that. There's no cap on that. And that's so important to understand. It's so important to understand that. Eventually, I will memorize my seed phrase. Until then, it's metal dog tags. No, don't do that. Don't ever memorize your seed phrase. There's a lot of issues that come with that. That's something that you never, ever want to do. And even if you don't need it, even if you memorized your seed phrase and you had a backup of that with super backed, still horrible idea. You don't ever want to have those words in your head. In 10 years, do you think it's possible that recovery phrases are obsolete? Seems possible. I hope not, because what would be the alternative there? Biometrics? Fuck that. Fuck that. Troy, at that time, I'll come protect the fort. I'll bring the armory. I love that. You ain't gonna ever find me in some community compound. That's okay. Good news for you. Nobody asked you. Bitcoin Way recommends Steel backup with BIP85 password. Poor man's simple version of a multisig. Yeah. The problem with that is you have to trust somebody. You have to trust somebody with that, because if you keep your steel plate, that's your 24 words in plain text, but you have to keep your passphrase somewhere else with somebody. That's the problem. That's the whole problem with that situation. Is that, let's say you have a steel plate, you're going through the Bitcoin ways recommendation here. By the way, Bitcoin way, it's whatever they're doing is not the Bitcoin way. That's what I'll say. But let's say you have a steel backup, right? You got your 24 words on steel in your house. Okay. So somebody breaks into your house and they find your steel plate and they put in your 24 words. They have you, I don't know, under the table, tied up to a chair, whatever that is. They put in your 24 words. They see, oops, there's no Bitcoin in there. So you went through all this trouble of getting a steel plate and hiding it, but there's no Bitcoin in there. Not going to take them long to figure out that there's a passphrase associated with that. So that passphrase is either going to be hidden somewhere in your house, which they could find, or they're going to get it out of you. Like, yes, in theory, that sounds great. That sounds like a very good plan. But in reality, no, it's not the play. And I would argue that till I'm blue in the face. That is not the best way to do it. CEP. Oh, is that the new stock? Up 100%. Wow. Daniel says, I think selling your home for Bitcoin is a good idea for some. If you love your property and your community, then keep it. If not, find a reasonable place to rent and put your home in cold storage in Bitcoin. 100%. 100% agree with Daniel there. All right, let's keep her going here. Robinhood halted trading on 21 stock. Yeah, don't be buying that today. Don't be buying that today. You never want to buy something when it's fresh. Give it a couple weeks and let it kind of fizzle out. And if you're going to buy something, do it then. Stacking Bitcoin is the only way to save, and running the credit card play, you make about 1 million sats off the play. Oh, Laughpad. Thinking about coming to Vegas this year. Any specific plans for a Living in the Future meetup? Yes. It's in the works. It's in the works. Tips on picking up affordable golf clubs. I don't actually. I don't have any solid recommendations that I can think of off the top of my head here. Are you just getting into golf? Yeah, this is probably the right play. You don't need to lowball guys, but there's always good deals on marketplaces. Hey, James Bond in the chat. Look at that. Yoda Chore, Sat's journey through time and proof of work. $85 a mow. Wow. You must be cutting good. You must be a good cutter. I was getting 30, although inflation is probably 100 times up or 100% up since I was cutting grass. Okay. Bangerang says the bull Bitcoin guy would wear a bracelet during COVID and tell authorities it was an exemption bracelet to the masks. Apparently it worked most of the time. Make your own reality. 100%. 100%. The only power that these people actually have is the power that we give them. It's all just a fucking illusion. The whole thing. The whole system is a complete illusion. Head to toe. I love that. Make your own reality. Jimmy says, like all useful technologies, the adoption rate of Bitcoin is exponential, parabolic. Yes. Although it's important to understand that Bitcoin is not a technology, right? It's a protocol. And as our good friend Jeff Booth says, technologies happen often. Protocols are very rare. And that is what Bitcoin is. M. Vincent, besides 88 sats, what is your top 3 Bitcoin YouTube channels? Ooh, good question. And actually in the 365 days of Bitcoin, I gave about 10 different resources of people that I follow and trust within Bitcoin. So let me give a couple different shout outs here. We've done 112 days and 365 days of Bitcoin. Crazy. Let me show you. If anybody's interested, I think that besides the $5 a month, this is going to be your best place to learn about Bitcoin. I even did a car video there. This is the first ever conversation about the green light theory in the car, coming home from the hospital in Winnipeg. But yeah, you can see all the different topics here. Bitcoin review, conducting business, Bitcoin fines. This is where I said things that people do wrong and the fines that they should pay. But XPubs and privacy, interest-free loans. This is the kind of stuff you're going to see. You're not just going to learn about the blockchain. You're going to learn how to think differently about Bitcoin and take advantage of where we are here. I don't know where this is though. Trusted resources. There it is. All right. So my channels, I'd say my top 3 are Citadel Dispatch, Andreas, I've learned a lot from his channel, and Maple Bitcoin. There's your 3. That's what I would say. Maple Bitcoin, because it has Rajat and Forrest on there. Maple Bitcoin. Those would be my 3. And I think Maple Bitcoin in a couple of years is going to be the biggest Bitcoin channel in the world. So if you want to join there, that was the 365 days of Bitcoin. Every day I put like a 5, 10, 15-minute video about a variety of topics within Bitcoin. So you can join it. I just threw that link in the chat there. Is 21 Capital a competitor for strategy or not? Yeah, they are. Absolutely. So they're doing the same thing. Different, but same thing. Imagine trading away Bitcoin for fiat. Yeah. When you're trading Bitcoin for fiat, that's completely different than spending your Bitcoin. Brain injury can take away the memory. Plus, if you know it, it's going to be easier for somebody to extract that from you somehow, whether that's with some sort of technology or just like physical torture. But if you know your seed phrase, you're going to be in trouble. So I do not recommend that. Dog tags it is. Well, dog tags, I mean, it's good in the meantime, maybe, but that's not where you want to store your generational wealth on dog tags, because it's in plain text. And if somebody finds those dog tags, your Bitcoin's gone. What is the best way to hold your seed? By far, super backed. By far, encrypted. Not on paper, not on steel, not with a passphrase. I mean, you can do passphrase, but the nice thing about super backed is you can put all this information into one box. Your 24 words, your passphrase, your PIN code, your XPub, your derivation path, any other important information that you need, you put it all within this text box. And you encrypt that. And you can geographically disperse it. The biggest problem right now, in my opinion, in Bitcoin is so many Bitcoiners keeping their recovery phrase in plain text. There's going to be a lot of pain in the future because of that. And you're going to be able to look back on the 88 Sats radio channel and say, shit, Jor was talking about this back in 2025. This might not be a problem for a while, but it is going to be a massive problem. Superback J360. What the heck's that? But yeah, super backed. That's what I'm talking about. Parker. Morning, Parker. Jake Scallon from Hash Power Academy. Never been. Benjamin Cowan. Never been. BTC Backpacker. I want to start a YouTube channel, but I'm lagging. Basically for my business, 30% cash, lawns, the rest in the books. Yeah, I recommend that everybody here starts a YouTube channel. Matt Rajat mentioned for the win. Great guy, great channel. Yeah, Rajat's on Maple Bitcoin with Forrest and I. I mean, I'm thinking most people would be aware of that, but I mean, between the three of us, there's not a lot of people who have found this channel. I mean, Rajat himself has like 25,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I mean, maybe people just haven't found it yet. There's Rajat in the background. So make sure you head over there. Let's. I think Maple Bitcoin is going to be the biggest channel in Bitcoin in a couple years from now. Okay. Bitcoinist Maximus says, I only got a couple more minutes here and then I got to hit the road. Didn't talk about a single thing I wanted to today. I mean, I kind of did. But Bitcoinist Maximus said, thinking about moving from a Trezor to a Foundation or Cold Card due to the microSD backup feature. What's your thoughts on microSD backup, which can easily be disguised and transported? I mean, honestly, you don't really need the microSD anymore. If you're thinking about like hiding it or traveling with it, I'm pretty sure the new teleport feature on Cold Cards allows you to share that without the SD card. I'm pretty sure. I need to do a little bit more looking into the teleport feature there, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it allows for now. So yeah, 100%. If you're storing your Bitcoin on something that connects to a laptop, I mean, you're probably safe, but you have to understand that we are protecting the best asset in human history here. And you should not take one single shortcut along the way to protect that Bitcoin. And that's what we talked about yesterday on the proof of work, because everybody wants power. Not enough people focus on clarity. So they focus on external things in their life, impressing other people, getting a fancy house. That's the power that people want, economic power. But what people should be searching for is clarity and building your citadel, your castle inside of you. That's what more people need to be paying attention to. But my thoughts again is that as a Bitcoiner, you can have both. Economic power, which is Bitcoin. All you have to do is hang on to that Bitcoin. And then you seek clarity. That's what you focus on. So with that, you have to protect that Bitcoin and do not take any shortcuts anywhere. Even if it's going to cost you $100 more for a better device, even if it's going to cost you $2,100 to be part of the 21 sats, the super backed security inheritance protocol, you have to take this stuff seriously. You are the person in your family. You are the Michael Saylor, the Jack Mahlers, the Ryan Cohen. You are the person. Do not take a single shortcut along the way. And don't wait for something bad to happen before you take any action. Do it now and prevent that Bitcoin from being gone. Because it doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you have today. In 2025, it matters zero how much Bitcoin you have today. If you're shortcutting it, if your foundation sucks and you have no Bitcoin in 20 years, then you spending time, you spending energy watching shows, learning about Bitcoin, it's going to be all for nothing. 88 people in here right now. Love that. Okay, let me buzz through these and then we're going to hit the road. Oh, Joe says, yes, with the best way to. J360 is the guy. Tell him I got you. Super backed is the best. Yes. AI can use live video now and remembers what it sees. I just assume all cameras are now liabilities. Don't let us steal your Bitcoin. 100%. Don't ever write down your private keys when there's cameras around. Floofin, thanks for your time, George. God bless. God bless you too as well. My good friend, Floofin. Great name. Scary picture though. Burleson, 360, J360. Thank you, 88 sats. No problem at all. Glad to be here. Teleport is fire. Okay, I gotta check that out. Doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you have, it's how much you keep. Yes. How are governments and strategy holding their Bitcoin? Coinbase. Coinbase is a problem. That's why you should always hold your own Bitcoin, not with strategy, not with 21 capital. Keep it yourself. Daniel, before we go here, Other than Jore's channel, I like Maple Bitcoin, Nolan, The Great Awakening, which is on right before Joe's show every morning, and Jack Mahler's. Yeah, that's a good list. And Nolan actually followed me on Twitter this morning. I saw that right before I came on here. Pretty sure, anyways, unless I just imagine that. No. Nolan right there, Count BTC. Nolan, if you're watching, what's up? Follow back. So there you go. What happened to the Bitcoin Amigos? I don't know. I've talked about that 1,000 times. So we moved on. But Maple Bitcoin is now live and in the flesh. We got Bitcoin Generations today at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm usually hanging out in the chat for Jerry's show every night. So you can still get a little bit of a taste if you want to. Love Nolan. There you go, Nolan. Getting some love on here. Sat Stacker, Bitcoin University, Matthew Cratter. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Although he's had some takes that I didn't necessarily love, but I do like the way he presents information. So I think it was Matt from Living the Future community. For what? What did I miss? Anyways, big shout out today. We had a couple fat zaps, 2,500 sats. I think that was from Cleaner Machine, if I recognize that number. Ian with 1,888 sats. We had Craig, 2,100 sats. We had Daniel. We had Duncan. We had Plunger. We had Killer, 888 sats. Bodie with 3232. Love that. Letha, 2,100. And I think this was Lapad, 3232, the DCA himself. Lapad and Clean Your Machine are our price gauges on Bitcoin. So everybody, have yourselves an amazing day today. Understand where we are. Focus all of your time and energy on protecting your Bitcoin. Join Living in the Future for the last time. I know I spent a lot of time talking about it, and I rarely do that, but I think it's imperative. And if you do want to join without going through Patreon, if you want to rather pay with Bitcoin with sats, if you're a Bitcoinaire, sat millionaire, you can do that too. Just find a way to get a hold of me. All my information's everywhere. So have an amazing day, everybody. Thank you once again for the support, the zaps, and have yourselves a great day. Trader says, I'm from India. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Randy, for the reminder. I got to go. Everybody will be back here tomorrow for Fad Zap Friday. Thank you once again. And we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.